Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Ivy Martinez. I am a geek and today we are doing my July reading wrap-up. July reading wrap-up, July reading wrap-up. Let's get started. Alright, so first of all, we had a few TBR prompts and yeah, we had a few TBR prompts. Did I stick with it? Kind of. There are a few that I didn't get to, okay? There are a few. So I believe I have like 16 books in my TBR for August, but I only read 11. And a lot of them weren't even from the TBR jar because I got Fourth Wing, and then after that I just sort of fell into a reading slump because nothing compared to Fourth Wing. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I read in July was Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, if you guys do not know what this is about a woman named Lowen Ashley, and she is basically a writer, a author, and she sells books. And her books do okay, like she has enough to where she can sustain herself and live a decent life. But she doesn't have enough, especially after her mother passes away and she's in a lot of debt, and her mom said that she had a lot of money for her, but it turns out she didn't. This famous author named Verity Crawford has fallen into a sort of like paralysis, so she can't do things for herself. So her husband actually contracts Lowen to co-write the rest of her, and finish off the rest of her series, and basically says that he can go over to their house and she can look through Verity's transcripts and look to see if there's anything that she can use for the rest of the books, and she'll be compensated very, very well. Now, when Lowen goes to Verity's house, she knows that she's going to be there for a few days because the papers are everywhere. And she accidentally bumps into Verity's autobiography, where she talks about her life with her husband, and how she secretly hated her children who are now dead. So there is that mystery element, that whole, what did she do? Why did these kids pass away? Did she really ever love these kids? And lastly, was she the one that murdered them? So I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I don't understand what all the hullabaloo is about. I know some people do not like the ending. I'm not going to say what the ending is. It's a very up in the air ending. It's not a very conclusive ending. It leaves you to form your own opinion. And I liked that aspect of it because it had me Googling and researching things. And apparently a lot of people did not like that. A lot of people wanted a more like concrete ending. And that's what a lot of people's problems were with it. So if you want something that's like a concrete, definite ending, you're not going to get that with this book. But if you want something that has you thinking even after the ending passes and has you forming your own opinion, then you would really enjoy this book. I have loved everything that I have ever read by Colleen Hoover. She has yet to disappoint me. So that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. The next book that I read is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is book 2 in the Bright Falls series. Book 1 is Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and this is her sister Astrid's story. This book tells the story of Astrid, which is Delilah's sister. She's very like stuck up, and she has this basically designer brand, and she's supposed to remodel this house, but she is constantly in a constant clash with Jordan, who is the construction or ahead of the construction and all that stuff, the one that's supposed to like build the things for her. They're constantly clashing heads because I guess Jordan has a history with the house, and that is what it's about in their romance. And it was okay. Like, this book was good. This book was very easy to get through. I was doing it while I was moving stuff out of this room actually, because it was becoming my bedroom, because you guys know that we are moving. We're still in the whole process of that. And it was really good. It was really easy to like listen to, really easy to get through. It wasn't like the best book that I've ever read. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. It definitely was not as good as Delilah Green Doesn't Care, but it was still okay. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but again, I also never really liked Astrid's personality as much as I enjoyed Delilah's and Claire's dynamic. The next book I listened to on audio, and this one was for my TBR jar. just like Verity. Verity was also for my TBR jar, and that is Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. So I have always been a Star Wars fan, not as much as an adult, but as a kid I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed. Like I had a Darth Maul birthday cake and everything. Like it was a big deal for me, okay? It was a big deal. Star Wars was a big part of my life. It was a big part of my childhood. And this is Carrie Fisher, who obviously played Princess Leia. And yes, I was one of those kids that used to go to school with Princess Leia buns. And her story and her memoir. And I never realized how hilarious she was. I never realized how funny she was. I had no idea that she had not only like an amazing personality, but this humor that's pretty dark, but also really like very down to earth and makes you feel like, wow, like this is a celebrity. You know, like very like that could be my friend right there. Very much had that feel. I really enjoyed it. I rated that one 4 out of 5 stars just because I really loved how she narrated it, and I loved just who she was, okay? I just like her personality. The next book that I read, this one was also a part of my TBR jar. It was like a book that takes place in a shop or a store or something. And I read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I ate this book up, okay? Because this book is about a orc who settles down and decides to open a coffee shop, although no one in that area has ever heard of what coffee is. And so she begins to hire people, and she hires a succubus, and she hires a, what's it called, a little rat person, rat guy? I forgot what they were. Okay, but basically she hires all these people for her coffee shop, and you just slowly start to see this coffee shop just becomes more and more successful, and you just see this orc's happiness. And nothing extravagant happens in it, nothing big. There's no high fantasy. I mean, it's high fantasy, but there's no like epic adventures or anything like that. It's cozy and it feels like you're constantly being hugged. And there's one scene that's a little, you know, like a little bit, I guess, adventurous and like has you at the edge of your seat. But other than that, it's just a cozy vibe, and you just feel like you're constantly being hugged, and you just want a cinnamon roll, a cup of coffee, and you just want to sit there and just fall into this fantasy. If you are stressed out, if you need a break from life and you really need something that's not going to be too over the top, have you too over the edge, have your mind reeling, this book is perfect. I saw someone describe it as if Dungeons and Dragons had a baby with Animal Crossing, it would be this, and I cannot think of a more perfect description of what this book is. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. So the next 2 books that I actually listened to are Stuck With You and Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood, just because I had read Love on the Brain before and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to read those STEMnist novellas. Stuck With You, I rated 3 out of 5 stars, and Below Zero, I rated it 2 out of 5 stars, just because it got to the point where I feel like all of Ali Hazelwood's stories just became very repetitive. We had the big strong guy and the brainy girl, and that's every single story that Ali Hazelwood writes. And it's the miscommunication trope over and over again, and it's like, how many times can you write the same story with different characters, but still at its core is basically the same story over and over again. So by the time I got to Stuck With You, I had 3 stars. I was like, okay, this is becoming repetitive now. So by the time I got to Below Zero, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm done. I have 2 stars because it was nothing new. Alright, so the next book that I read was this one, The Cursed Princess Club by Lamcat. Now this is originally a webtoon, but I have the physical copy of this one, and I had originally got it for my kids, and my youngest daughter really enjoyed it, and I really liked it too. So this basically follows 3 different sisters, as you can see here, and they're all very different. We have these 2, and then we have Gwendolyn, which is our last princess. Now, they come from the Pastel Kingdom, and in order to make an alliance, the king or their father marries them off to these princes, and the princesses are like, oh yes, like at first they're like, no, I don't want to be married, and then they see the pictures and they're like, yes, marry me off. and they right away get along with the princes. And one of the princes that's engaged to Gwendolyn, he accidentally mistakes their brother for another princess, just because he has a very like pretty face. Think like Inosuke from Demon Slayer without his mask on, like that, where he easily got confused and thought it was a woman and he thought that this was just a ghost, when in reality this was actually the sister and the other one was the brother. And so when he actually realizes that it's Gwendolyn that he's engaged to, he automatically is like, no, I do not want to marry her. I am not attracted to her, blah, 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 blah. And Gwendolyn is just so upset and distraught because has never been outside of the kingdom. So she always thought she was beautiful. Her sisters always told her that she was beautiful. She never felt like she was any different up until she came face to face with this guy. So she one day goes off into the woods and comes across the Cursed Princess Club, which is a group of princesses that have all been cursed, and they all look very different. They either have like lobster hands, or they have some sort of bizarre curse upon them, and they lovingly just open up their arms to Gwendolyn, and it is her story, and it was really cute, and I really enjoyed it. I believe I ended up rating this 4 out of 5 stars or 5 out of 5 stars. It was a really fun time. It was a quick read, and I just loved every second of it. Okay, so the next book that I read was Mistlefoe, which is a novella in the Mad Mishap series. It is book 1.5 after The Time That I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon book. And this book was obviously a novella, so it's shorter than the standard novels. And this book is basically about a girl, I believe her name is Ruby, and her father owns this blacksmith shop, and all of a sudden they are cursed by this fox demon, and all their swords end up saying a lot of curse words and a lot of dirty words. And in order to save her father's blacksmith shop, Ruby decides to go out there and have a word of mouth with, or have a talk with the fox demon to see if he can get rid of the curse. And when the fox demon sees her, he basically says, yes, you can spend the week with me, and that way the demon king of our land, or this side of our land, can basically see that I have a mate, and then he will give me the land that I want, and then I will go ahead and let you go, and I will let go of the curse. During this time, it's obviously a romance, so they fall in love, and it's a very quick read, and it's very cheesy, and it's very cute, and it's definitely not as amazing as The Time That I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, which I absolutely loved, but it was still a very cute read. So I ended up rating this I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, only because it wasn't that memorable to me. Nothing really stuck with me, and I didn't like it as much as the first, obviously, so this was a 3 out of 5 stars for me. Okay, so the next book that I read is a manga, and it is Devil's Line by Ryo Hanada. It's so much like Tokyo Ghoul, like so much. We have this guy, so he's a half devil, and he hunts down devils. And basically these devils, they have a habit of unaliving people, and he basically stops that before it happens. And he one night saves this girl when she's being walked home by a longtime friend who turns out to be a devil, and he ends up saving her from him, even though he swears that he was not going to do anything to her. Apparently sometimes devils have no control of their emotions, and they end up doing and committing bad crimes even though they didn't intend to do so. And since he's half devil, our main character has a little bit of that as well, and he right away gets attached to this human girl, and he ends up falling in love with her, and it is a love story, yet he knows that he can't be with her because his primal instincts come out, and dangerous things can happen once the lust is in there. And it's just it was amazing. I loved it. So it's very much like Tokyo Ghoul, but with romance in it. I really liked it. And I want to pick up the other volumes because I really enjoyed this one, and I want to watch the show as well. I believe I rated this one 5 out of 5 stars, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been 4 out of 5 stars, but I think it was 5 out of 5 stars just because I remember really liking it. The next book that I read is another one that I really, really enjoyed, and it is one of my top books of this year. And that is The Risk book 1 in the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. This book I loved. You know why? Because it reminded me a lot of Dexter. If you guys seen the show Dexter and you like the show Dexter, you have to check this series out because it is very, it reminds me of it just so much, but with romance, more romance in it. And this is basically about our main character. Her name is Alana, and she is a serial killer, and she hunts down the men that committed very bad things to her and got away with it. So she hunts them down one by one, and she has this very long list, and she has a friend that helps her out, and she ends up falling in love with a FBI agent who is not only an FBI agent, but is actually in charge of serial killers and is pretty much looking for her. And it's just so good. Okay, I read the first book in July. I just finished the second book in August, but so far so good. It's so amazing. They're such quick reads because each book is like 100 or so pages, and altogether I think they have one that has all the parts together, but I'm reading each one individually because that's how it is on Kindle Unlimited. And I love it. Okay, I love it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a very quick read. I read it at the gym, and I think I read it in one go while I was using the elliptical and then the treadmill. While I was doing my cardio, I ended up finishing the whole thing. It was amazing. I loved it. I enjoyed it. 5 out of 5 stars. The book that's the reason why I only read 11 books in July and why I didn't read 16 or more, it's because of this book right here, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I finally read it. I did a whole reading vlog, so if you guys want to see my whole reactions, I cried and I got so emotional. I loved this book. Okay, hands down, this is the best book that I have ever read, not even of this year, but of my entire life. 5,000 million gazillion out of 5 stars. I loved this book so much. I highly recommend it to anybody in general because this book overtook my life. I had no life while I was reading this. That's how bad it was. So that is it, you guys. I read a total of 11 books in July. Let me know what you guys read, what books you enjoyed, if you read any of these, what books you enjoyed, what books you didn't enjoy, and also let me know if you have any recommendations based off of the books that I read. So if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. I post videos twice a week, and then I post short videos, little video shorts throughout the week as well, so stay tuned for all of those. And I also have a book podcast that I will link down below. Also, if you want to gift me any of my Amazon wishlist books, I will post that down below too. I would love that, and I would love to open it on camera if you want me to as well. I have a Booktok that I will post down below. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!